Hello world, this is Barbie Lee. This is Shake Talk. This is where we shake up your wake up one shake at a time, right? We're here to change your life because, well, not change it, but maybe just make it better. Maybe make it juicy and delicious. Maybe make it so that you have quality of life assurance. That's just what I'm into. That's just what I'm into. One of my favorite quotes out there is like, here, I wrote it down. It says, life is not a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and totally or loudly proclaiming, woo, what a ride. And it's Hunter Thompson. And I really like that quote because I'm all about living life to its fullest, right? Whatever that looks like. I start with my Isogenics Iceling Shake every morning. I do some reading every morning, meditation, all that kind of stuff. And what we're doing here on Shake Talk is we've been talking about the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership. And we're on commitment number 6. So we're practicing integrity. So the commitment says, I commit to the masterful practice of integrity, including acknowledging all authentic feelings, expressing the unarguable truth, keeping my agreements, and taking 100% responsibility. So this is really just taking all the last few chapters and bringing them together, right? Hello, everybody who's joining. So I commit to living, this is the below the line. This is that other side of things where you don't really want to be. I commit to living in completion by withholding my truth, denying my feelings, not keeping my agreements, and not taking 100% responsibility. So obviously we want to commit to the masterful practice of integrity. So you'll have to go back to listen to part 1 from a couple days ago. So you just scroll through. You can, if you hashtag Shake Talk, you'll find me. So we talked about alignment, congruence, energy management, stuff like that. So today we're going to start with the 4 pillars of integrity. So according to the book, The 15 Commitments of Conscious Leadership, it says, excuse me, sorry, let me grab a quick drink of water. 4 pillars of integrity. Take 100% responsibility. Not 99, not 98, not 50%. Take 100% responsibility. Speak authentically. Feel feelings through completion. And impeccable agreements. It's quite interesting because those 4, if we look at the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel, they're quite similar, just saying. All right, so an agreement is anything you said you will do or you said you won't do. So that's speaking impeccably, right? Keeping your word. So agreements can be small, like, yes, I'll pick up the milk on the way home, or they can be big, like, you and I are, we're only sexual partners. Like, I'm committed to you. I won't have another sexual partner. So they can be little ones or big ones. They're irrelevant in the sense that they're both commitments, right? So I had heard a story years ago about, I want to start exercising. Well, great. What are you going to commit to? Well, maybe 3 or 4 days a week. No, what exactly are you going to commit to? Well, I don't know, maybe 3 days a week. Okay. So the next week, call her up. Oh, I got 2 days in. I'm so excited. She says, no, you committed to 3. Well, yeah, but I did 2. That's exciting. No, you committed to 3. Well, that's okay. No, it's not okay. So what? 2 out of 3 days you'll be faithful to your husband, and the 3rd day you're not? And she's like, oh, all commitments are equal. And that's what this where we're talking about here is being in your integrity to your commitments. Okay. So any broken agreements obviously break the flow of energy, and the flow of energy and integrity is so important because that's what keeps you feeling aligned and and being in congruency, right? So congruent with what's going on so that you can be in integrity with yourself, right? So how do you make impeccable agreements? Well, you make them clear. You keep them, right? You renegotiate. If something happens, you can renegotiate. Just because you said, I'll pick up milk on the way home, maybe you call and say, listen, I can't get the milk. I don't know, I'm talking about milk. They're talking about milk. I don't drink milk. I'm going to pick up the bananas on the way home. And then the other person, then you're like late and you're like, hey, I don't have time to stop for bananas. Could you go get them, or should I get them later? Right? You can renegotiate, but don't ignore the bananas. Around here, bananas are very important. And of course, cleaning up any broken agreements. If you said something to somebody and you broke that agreement, but then you thought, well, maybe they forgot about it. They probably didn't. And just in case they didn't, you still want to be impeccable with your word to yourself, right? It's about being in integrity with yourself so that you can show up differently for others. That's really what it's about. So when you're making clear agreements, it's about being precise, right? It doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to do this, like in all these, like, perfectly, but it's being precise, knowing what you can do and knowing what you can't do. So for example, this week I committed to being at the Center for Spiritual Living because we're prepping for a trade show and a garage sale. And I said, I'll be there from 9 to noon, Monday through Friday. So if people want to drop things off. Now something came up this morning, so I couldn't be there. So instead of just putting a sign on the door and say, I can't be here or whatever, I had somebody fill in for me that could be there because I'm keeping my commitments, right? I'm staying in integrity. I told people they could come anytime Monday through Friday. So I'm keeping my commitments. And that's what this is being about when it says making clear agreements, making sure that it's okay for you. Don't say yes to something that you can't keep, right? Don't make agreements that you can't keep just because it's easier to say yes and you'll figure it out later. No. Really be certain. And again, if you say yes, it's always okay to say no later because that's the renegotiating your agreement, right? So this one to me is really important, the cleaning up of broken agreements. And this is about if you do something or say something and then you don't do or say what you were going to, that's a broken agreement, right? So whatever that might look like, it could be as simple as weeding the garden, right? Saying, yeah, I'll weed the garden, but then it rains. Well, it's not your fault it rained, so you couldn't weed the garden. But then the question is, did you forget? Do you think it's not going to happen? Like, do you need to talk about weeding the garden? Yes, right? So, hey, it rained. I know it's pretty obvious that it rained and I didn't get to the garden. I will get it done in the next day or two, or when the sun comes out, or do you know what I mean? Like, just talk about it. This is really important about communication. So he says, note that when you're cleaning up a broken agreement, you don't need to explain why you didn't keep the agreement. It's okay if you need to, like, hey, it rained, right? So I didn't clean it, I didn't get the weeds. Great. Or you can just say, I didn't get to the weeds today. I know it's important. I will get to them tomorrow or, Sunday at the latest, whatever the chain of days is. So it's okay to change, but be impeccable with your word and clean up anything that was, broken. So I love this. He says, commitment in action. And it says, in our experience, commitment always precedes knowing what this will look like or how we will act if we step into the commitment. Okay? People often want to know the how or the what before they commit. In our experience, the how and the what come after the willingness. The decision comes first. So wanting to know the how or the what before we commit is like asking to see the movie before we buy the ticket. Or, commitment is buying the ticket, going to the movie, and seeing what happens. It's kind of like this whole relationship marriage thing, right? You don't say, hey, let's live together for 50 years, and if it works out, we'll get married. You make the commitment, and then you figure out how to make that work. You figure out the what and the how. And really, that's how life works, right? Well, good life, right? It's about creating this alignment within yourself, knowing what you want, knowing who you are, and you have to do the work to do that, to get there, to get that, to have the life you want and create it by design. It's up to you, right? I talk to people all the time about their life is just and I was like, why aren't you making it like wow, let's make life like that, right? But people are like So here's my question to you. Here's my challenge to you. I'm all about quality of life assurance, right? I feed my body well. I exercise. I keep my mind full. I'm reading this book. You get to read it along with me. I hope you've purchased the book already. But what are you really doing to go from to in your day, right? To show this life that you want to live it, to want to be amazing, to want to have these phenomenal, juicy, delicious experiences, right? Like, what are you doing for that? So commit today to be in your integrity, about making you the best that you can be. So what is the thing you have to do today? Where do you have to look at integrity? Where do you have to look at your commitments, that kind of thing? Post below. Maybe you want to talk about, maybe you're ready for quality of life assurance. Maybe that's what you're ready for. I don't know. But here's what I do know. Life is too short to sit on the sidelines. Get involved. Get involved. Have an amazing day.